Shia LaBeouf punches a kid in the face, and
Yeah,
honestly,
it's
like,
hilarious.
It's
I definitely cackled when it happens. He didn't even think twice about it. He literally went up those steps and just laid the kid out and then jumped in the water.
I think that was like the selling point I had to you was just like, I thought I put that down as my review was Shia LaBeouf punches a kid in the face.
Hi there. Welcome to the Some Damn Movies podcast. Just a heads up, we don't shy away from spoilers. Here's your warning for the following movies: the Zack Snyder filmography, Beetlejuice, The Flintstones, Mikey and Nicky, Zombieland 1 and 2, I Used to Be Funny, and The Peanut Butter Falcon.
All right, hello. Welcome to, I guess, potentially episode 1 of the Some Damn Movie podcast.
I guess you won.
Yeah, I mean,
not doing this year. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is just a simple movie podcast where two best friends sort of bitch from afar about movies that they hate and also talk about movies that we love. The show is simple. We start out with Ian. What the hell you been watching, boy?
Did you say Some Damn Movies?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did.
Okay, my bad.
Yeah, this is Some Damn Movies. So yeah, Ian, what the hell you been watching, man?
All right, hi. My name is Ian. I am 50% of the handsomeness on this podcast and this channel.
49.
I also want to go out and say that we are a parent-friendly podcast, meaning it is encouraged that if you have a kid like I do, you sling up and you listen to this podcast while you're doing like your everyday parent things. We don't discriminate around here. So, okay, so we're trying to keep this a little snappy. What did I watch this week? Man, I have went on a trip of sorts. I have went on a journey. That journey has been me watching through all of Zack Snyder's films that he has directed.
Intentionally, not by accident?
Intentionally, okay. I am going through and watching them. I made my list to like in LETTERBOXD, which all of you should follow us on there because we have a lot of fun with LETTERBOXD. It is the premium social media platform, and I've finished the first leg and then a little bit of his movies. Now, what do I consider the first leg? I consider the first leg Dawn of the Dead, into 300, into Watchmen, and then I also, which I didn't know that he directed this, but Legend of the Guardians, The Owls of Ga'Hoole. I briefly remember this movie being released. I did not know it was Zack Snyder's first foray into animated movies. I'm going to start with that one. It's very forgettable. It's kind of cute. I think this was probably because it came out around the time of How to Train Your Dragon and like some other sort of like hero-centric animated titles. And, you know, honestly, like it looks good. I can't complain there. The dude still uses slow motion in like obscene times, which is very like it's an action film too, right? So I guess it makes sense. But like this guy, okay, I did a lot of discovery here. I'm going to try to like bring the first leg in. So you start out with Dawn of the Dead. Dawn of the Dead is actually really good. I think he was on he was a little hungry. You know, this is his first big release. The remake of George Romero's Dawn of the Dead. What I didn't realize is that James Gunn wrote that movie.
Oh, really?
Or he was one of them. I mean, I think he's credited as the sole writer. I'm sure he had a couple other people, but I saw that, which makes total sense as well to me. Or it doesn't make total sense, but it's not surprising because of like the humor and some of the ways it's written.
I can.
Oh, you have? I was gonna. So for the last segment, I was gonna tell you to watch it. So like a lot of that humor kind of like is very James Gunn-esque, and honestly, I don't know what it was, but I think Zack Snyder actually did a good job.
Yeah, I liked
movie.
It.
Like I think I can already tell you now, I've watched all these movies. It's going to probably be the highest rated movie of his collection for me. I mean, I'm going to go through all of them, but then after finishing Dawn of the Dead, and the thing is like, even though like Dawn of the Dead is great, he still kind of starts his like his trappings and tropes, like the slow motion, that are kind of like they don't some of the shots just don't make sense, and no one like stopped him from it. Most pointedly, whenever Mekhi Phifer's character is with. Again, also another warning to everybody. We spoil everything here, especially movies that are over 20 years old. I'm sorry. You had time to experience it. We won't talk about it. When Mekhi Phifer like has his zombie baby and he has his zombie wife, right? And then the old lady goes in and talks to him, right? One, not only is it like an absurd scenario, right? It's like truly fiction, but it's a very serious moment, like for Mekhi Phifer. Like this was actually like what would normally be like a comical scenario is I'm locked in. Mm-hmm. I'm gassed up. I'm ready for this to play out. But then this guy, meaning Zack Snyder, whenever the old lady comes in to like check on them and give them supplies, I just felt like I didn't realize he put a fucking slow motion like part in there. He slowed it down, and that was like the old lady shoots his wife, and then Mekhi Phifer shoots her, and she shoots him, and then he like slows it down. It's like some fucking action film. And this is where like we begin his downfall into like slow motion means more emphasis on action, and it makes it more impactful, because the way I would have done that shot, it would have been in a very solid, just like Mekhi Phifer, old lady see each other. They're at a crossroads. They're talking to each other, or like they're kind of looking at each other, and then all like once it does a couple pans back, back and forth to each other, like hard zoom out to a wide shot of them shooting each other. Like just like let that happen, right? Like that would have like I felt like kept tension, but of course, we have this now. Like he just slows stuff down. That being said, Dawn of the Dead was good. 300 and Watchmen. 300. It's cool when you're like 15. I'll be real. Like it's really cool when you're 15, and I think this cements a lot of his tropey comic book.
Did you hate your watch this time around as a 30-year-old man?
I've never honestly. I don't think I've ever liked 300, because here's another thing. I think Zack Snyder. I feel like it's one or two things. Either Zack Snyder thinks his fans are stupid, or he just, I don't know, maybe he just doesn't know. I kind of think he thinks his fans are stupid, because I read something about Sucker Punch, which that was the bane of my fucking existence for the longest time. One of my most hated movies, and that's coming up next. So not like that in my watch of Zack Snyder films.
I was gonna say, I think his like style, I think it was fine for like 300. I think it makes sense. It's fine, but it's one of those stylistic decision making that he then does throughout the rest of his filmography that it already overstays its welcome within the movie that really pushed the bounds at that time, that everyone thinks, it's that like this is Sparta moment, but it feels like he has to do that with every goddamn movie now, that I'm already sick of. I was already sick of it at the end of 300. I don't need it anymore, and then he proceeds to do it throughout the rest of his career.
Yeah, and I think Watchmen was the biggest sort of like realization, or like so after I watched the Watchmen, one, it made me want to read the book again. Two, it made me want to watch the HBO Max or the HBO series again, which is fantastic. Everyone should watch that. Three, I still think that the movie, I liked its ending better than the books, because the book, I just rambled for way too long trying to like get through the first leg of Zack Snyder's freaking filmography. I would say the first half, this first leg of it, is honestly kind of worth it, especially if you haven't watched 300. It's still a fun action film. It's not that great. The Watchmen is good. I actually do like Watchmen. He just can't write. I wouldn't trust him writing at all. And Dawn of the Dead remake is good. 14 minutes in. All right, good. Sorry.
So, are you recommending these films to anybody at the end of the day? Like, which ones would you say no to if you're making a list? Like, hey, stay away. Which ones are you adding?
Out of the four, unless you have a kid that's interested in animated animated movies, I wouldn't go anywhere near Guardians, like Legend of the Guardians. It's just not as worth it. It's not like it's like some timeless like animated film. Like,
are you gonna play the game on your gaming show?
Wait, what?
There's an Xbox game. Yeah, there's an Xbox game for it.
Well, I'm only doing all my Steam games right now. So, and I have like
I'll gift you.
Oh, Jesus Christ. No, I would recommend. I mean, I 100% recommend Dawn of the Dead remake, like his Dawn of the Dead remake. I actually think it was very well done, and this is kind of also starting the theory of I just don't trust Zack Snyder with like writing. I wouldn't like, because he did the screenplay for 300. Obviously, or famously, that is 300 is Frank Miller's like comic book, graphic novel, but he did the screenplay for it. Not saying that Frank Miller writing it would have been better, because he also put out The Spirit, which he wrote and directed, and like that was a hot mess when I watched it. Like, the only good thing about that was Scarlett Johansson, but it was trying to be some like everyone started doing the black and white noirs, like what is it called, like just comic book style like movies after Sin City, which I don't know if Sin City came out before. I don't think it did. I think it came out after, because that's Robert Rodriguez and Zack Snyder are boys. So like they kind of bounce off of each other. Then of course, top of the game is Quentin Tarantino and that trifecta. They all like him and Robert Rodriguez are always doing shit like Grindhouse and stuff. Actually, Christopher Nolan's a big is I think friends with Zack Snyder too. Because I remember whenever the Justice League movie came out, like Zack Snyder was the one who went up to, or Christopher Nolan's the one who went up to Zack Snyder and was like, you don't want to watch that cut. Which I will say, to defend the Snyder cut, I fucking did not want the Snyder cut to come out. I think Jared knew very much. I was like, this is dumb as fuck. Like, this movie sucked, but I will concede, like, the Snyder cut of Justice League is leaps and bounds better than
you think it's
normal
leaps
cut.
And bounds better?
Yeah, 100%. Like,
damn.
it is a completely different movie. And the thing that I remember Red Letter Media pointing out is that you can stop it like halfway through, like about 2 hours in, because it's like a 4.5 hour movie.
Yeah,
if you watch the whole thing.
I have never.
But there's a good spot, like when they're in like this sewer, I think fighting Steppenwolf or some shit the first time. You can like, and when they first all convene, like you can stop it right there, and then you can pick it up like a part 2, because they put it into like 5 parts. And it is leaps and bounds better. The Justice is Gray version, like, fuck off, Zack Snyder. Like, your shit doesn't have to be in like black and white to make it like I don't know, fucking artistic. Like, it's a fucking superhero movie, dude. Like, let's not sit out here trying to act like you're making high art. Like, you're not. Like, you know what? We'll say it's art. It definitely is art, but it's not this high art. You're not making some A24 Batman film, all right?
So do you think at the end of your watch of this Zack Snyder marathon that you've, for some reason, embarked on, are you going to make the argument at the end that he is a director that has just gotten progressively worse over time? Because you've already seen most of these.
I've already seen all of them.
Yeah, you're a big Zack Snyder head.
I haven't. Well, I'm a Zack Snyder hater. But the thing is, I try to be a facts or opinion based, but like educated, educated opinion. Sorry, viewer. So I try my hardest. If I say something is shit or someone I don't like it, I really do.
You've at least
watched
it.
Experience it. I at least watch it. I think everyone at one point in time was like, oh, that's like as much as I talk shit on like Fast and Furious, I haven't watched all of them, but what a commitment to have to like,
you can trust your
say
boy.
Shit. I can trust you, and I've already watched a couple of them.
Yeah.
Like, I just haven't watched all of them, but I just know it's not my thing, and they're pretty schlocky.
And that's okay.
Right. Whatever. And that's fine. That's fine. There's a market for it. I think with Zack Snyder, I do remember watching Army of the Dead, his Netflix one. It was kind of fun. I am partial to heist films, though. I like heist stories. I think they're a lot of fun, especially when you do them right. He didn't really do it right, but it was different. Like, the whole premise of that is like there's a safe in Las Vegas at a casino that has upteen million, just an absurd amount of money in it. And it's behind this very sophisticated lock. And it also just so happens that zombies are just rampant throughout Las Vegas, or like at least this section. So they have to like go in, and a crack team gets together with like headed by Dave Bautista, Zoe Saldana is not in it. But they have to go, and they're gonna go break in and grab the money. And like honestly, like that's cool. I'm down with that. Now I watched Rebel Moon. That shit's stupid. Actually, one of the most awkward conversations I had at my work was like, I walked in and two guys were talking about Rebel Moon, and they were like, yeah, this was supposed to be Zack Snyder's Star Wars because he was originally going to do that. I've never fucking heard about Zack Snyder doing Star Wars, dude. But like, okay. And then they're like, yeah, it's amazing. And I actually physically cringed when I heard that, because those movies are laughably bad.
Mm-hmm.
They are like they are like AI generated generic bad. So I of course was like, oh, and then they asked me if I had watched it. I was like, oh, I definitely watched it. And they're like, oh, what did you think of it? I was like, it fucking sucks. Like, I'm sorry to tell you that, boys. I'm glad you liked it. It fucking sucked. And then I like kind of awkwardly went in for like 10 minutes just being like, bro, I don't know how you think this is good. Like, it's a bunch of fucking I
feel so awkward in those moments, man. Like when I have to when like, okay, I mean, we're not gonna get into what I'm about to talk about, but when we walked out of a certain movie that I watched recently, I felt really, because everyone else seemed like it was okay, and I was legitimately kind of mad. I'm not like, I was still reeling from it just yesterday, but like today I'm gonna be a little bit softer on it, try my best to be calm about it. I'm not gonna talk about it yet. I have some other stuff I want to talk about, but it is always very awkward to like viscerally hate something when somebody else likes it, especially when you go to the movies with them.
On that note, I kind of want to go away from my my viewings. Yes, if you're gonna watch any of these, I would say so far in Zack Snyder, just Dawn of the Dead remake is really well done.
Approved.
Watchmen is also good. Like I think Watchmen's good. Some of the dialogue is not that well done. However, yeah, that's where I would keep that at. Now, I'm going to stop rambling as hard. Jared,
hey,
what you watching? What'd you watch?
Yeah, I want to talk about some of my first watches real quick. So recently I watched, it's called I Used to Be Funny, which is a movie starring Rachel Sennott, I think is her name. She's kind of like that up and coming actress. She was in Bottoms. She was in Bodies. She has kind of that like.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah,
she's the one that she's Charlie XCX's.
I think so.
Go-to girl. Yeah.
Yeah. So this one's like, I would assume you could classify it as almost like an amateur film. I assume it's like a friend. And it's just like a simple little story about like struggling with PTSD. She plays like a stand-up comedian, who is also like a nanny. And some cause for issue was the girl that she was like babysitting. She was like a teenager, and they were, getting close as just like friends and stuff. Because her parents were like separated and stuff, and she ends up going missing. Yada yada yada, and it sort of just unravels throughout the movie with these like, they sort of do some cutbacks from the past. Ends up like the father sexually abuse the babysitter, yada yada yada, and it's basically a movie about PTSD. Pretty good. I would definitely give it a watch. I didn't give it like a super high score, just because I thought some of the performances were kind of weak. Hers was, I thought was great. I think she's a good actress.
I'm a particular fan of her. I think she kind of fucking crushes it.
Yeah, I really liked her in Bodies. I think she's a pretty funny actress, and she definitely has like a little bit of like subtlety humor to her, and I do enjoy it. One movie I did want to talk about a little bit was Zombieland. I watched that recently along with Double Tap. Double Tap I think is definitely a step down, which brings me to one of the points I want to bring up today is adding or like really expanding your cast in the sequel, when the first reason the movie was so successful was the cast, the main four.
Well, it was the intimacy too.
Yeah,
like, there's only 4 of them. Like they're just trying to like go through life,
and then literally the entire second movie is them introducing a million new characters. That's all that movie is. It's still like enjoyable enough, some of the same like hits and stuff. But what I really enjoyed about Zombieland was like sort of that first like half hour where they do such a good job about introducing like the rules of the universe. They easily get to all that stuff within like the first 10 minutes. They hammer down the rules so you understand the entire movie. All the characters are introduced pretty early on in the movie, so you understand the characterization of all of them. All that stuff is hit and drilled into you so quickly that you don't even really have to think about it, and then the fun of the movie just goes on about it. And it's really just around these 4 characters about trying to survive, and it's funny. It's stylized because they have like some of those like almost like video game type things that pop up on screen. I don't know. It's a really... like I like Jesse Eisenberg's like shtick in most movies. Like he plays the same thing, but he has that weirdo like
Michael Cera. But I actually think I like him.
Yeah, I do. There's something about it. It's like it's kind of like that Vince Vaughn effect for me too. It's like he plays the same asshole, but it's kind of endearing to me. So I really like him. Woody Harrelson's hilarious in it, and the Emma Stone and Abigail Breslin are fine in it too. Like they all work together. It seems like they all just had like a ton of fun playing it. So
exactly.
Great movie.
I think they just had fun.
Yeah, really enjoyed it. Another one that I wanted to point out was I watched the live action Flintstones movie recently because I bought that one and the second one on Blu-ray, and I just wanted to play something fun because I just wanted something to watch at night, man. And my lord, surprising enough, the movie holds up, I think. It's from 94. It stars John Goodman as Fred Flintstone. You got Rick Moranis plays Barney.
Yeah.
You have like some other, like Rosie O'Donnell ends up, she plays Betty. Kyle MacLachlan from plenty of others, like obviously Twin Peaks fame and stuff like that. He's in it. He plays like the mean boss guy. Halle Berry's just in there to look like the sexy assistant. But that's not the best part of the movie. It's like literally all the props, the set design, the production design is legitimately pretty fucking good. Like it shouldn't work.
I mean, it's all practical effects.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, they really tried to bring Bedrock to life.
Yeah, and they do. It works for me, and it was funny. The cast seemed like they were having a blast. It holds up. It's not amazing. Like the dialogue's cringe.
I feel like John Goodman and
Rick Moranis.
Rick Moranis would and also Rosie O'Donnell would just be down to be like, oh, this is kind of fucking sick, dude.
So I'm gonna watch Viva Rock Vegas next. The entire cast changes because I'm pretty sure it's a prequel. It's when they're all young or whatever.
It's called They Couldn't Get the Original Cast.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they couldn't. Yeah,
because I don't think it did that well in theaters.
No.
Like you can look it up. No. I don't think the original one did, because I think even in '94, I think like Hanna-Barbera was kind of getting phased out. Like no one really. It's sad too because I think Hanna-Barbera has some great characters.
Oh yeah,
it's just like
I mean the Jetsons is great. Like they have all those classic ones that are still like I think they hold up. They're great cartoons.
They are definitely like 100%. They are like animated like classics or animation classics. Like you can't talk about like animation and animated like cartoons without Hanna-Barbera in there. It's kind of flowing off into antiquity. You know what I mean? I do see something that you watched that I have not rated it on Letterboxd because now I'm trying to like only rate them when I watch them again.
Same.
But I was a big fan of this movie, and I think I would score it a little higher.
Oh, okay. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
What is it?
Peanut Butter Falcon.
Yeah. I think we've talked about it a little bit.
No, I liked it. I thought it was cute. Like it was.
Yeah, it's like super cute.
Yeah, I mean,
Shia LaBeouf punches a kid in the face, and honestly,
it's
like,
hilarious.
It's
I definitely cackled when it happens. He didn't even think twice about it. He literally went up those fucking steps and just laid the kid out and then jumped in the water.
I think that was like the selling point I had to you was just like I thought I put that down as my review was Shia LaBeouf punches a kid in the face. Oh yeah, no, I definitely think I have it because I'm just not logged in. I'm totally logged in. But yeah, I thought I rated this and reviewed it as Shia LaBeouf punches a kid in the face, and that's all I needed. Because like that whole scene is just fucking funny. Because it's just like the shithead kid picking on a Down syndrome adult
pretty much. And then he's just like, don't fucking push him in there. Don't fucking push him in there. Don't do it. And then he pushes him in there. He just goes up there. He's like, he can't fucking swim. And then he punches that kid and just like jumps in. I was like, what the fuck? I remember just not expecting that in the least bit.
Yeah, it was good. Like I didn't hate, like I didn't blow me away. I thought Shia LaBeouf's and I guess his name is Zack, their relationship I thought was really great. I really enjoyed watching it on screen. Dakota Johnson was okay.
Yeah, I actually do like Dakota Johnson. Yeah. I think she does. I want to watch.
I hate how much she hates Hollywood. She just hates Hollywood. She talks shit about Hollywood. She has no interest in it. She just wants to make her money and probably dip the fuck out.
Well, so on the note of the Peanut Butter Falcon and the movie that is going to be like, I guess the big movie that I want you to talk about, they kind of do coincide, at least the original. And that's the Peanut Butter Falcon is a cute story that is about kind of in part is about like, you know, family is not who you're born with. It's, you know, the people that you find and keep around you. Right. And Peanut Butter Falcon is very much that, because these three characters run into each other from very different walks of life. And then at the end of it, they go off into the sun, pretty effectively just go off into the sunset.
Yeah.
And start anew, which that's pretty much what the classic, like 1985 classic Beetlejuice was, right? Because that was kind of like with the, what is it, the Maitlands? I forget their
Maitlands,
name.
yeah. Like, Alec Baldwin and Gina Davis.
Yeah, they don't have a kid. Step parents move in, or like a family moves in. You know, this girl that is kind of estranged from them comes up, and they kind of take her under. Not take her under a wing, but like she very much like kind of is starting to turn into like a proxy, a quasi daughter for them.
But it works. It works because I'll go into it. It was low key. It was stylistic in that classic Tim Burton style that I grew to love in those early films. His first like act of his filmography, I think, are near incredible. I think he is a great director. Those early films are really, really good. And I honestly think, similar to like Zack Snyder, who you were talking about, and a lot of other directors, once you start, that budget starts inflating, once those technologies start coming into place where you just want to replace like some of those practical effects, which again, Beetlejuice had plenty of practical effects and some of them do work, but some of those early films that he had, like Pee-wee's Big Adventure, which I'm going to watch soon, I loved, and it was weird. It was like he had a lot of those weird ideas, but it was like stylistically it worked. And then he had that big stretch where he wanted to put Johnny Depp in everything, and everything looked gross and too digital. Like him combining his weird like practical effects and stuff and his style, I truly just do not think looks good digitally. And combining it, I think it looks even worse. And he just has lost that style that I fell in love with, like with Ed Wood, with like Mars Attack, Pee-wee, Edward Scissorhands, even some of those early Batman movies that he did, I really, really liked. And the first Beetlejuice, I really, really liked. But that one was like, it was so low key. It didn't have that like modern feel to it. Obviously, it's 2024, so it just feels like, given the time we're in, it was hampered by, I'm guessing, studio ideas, because you can see some of those great ideas in Beetlejuice where like it's classic Tim Burton, classic Beetlejuice Tim Burton, but then it feels like it gets shoved down our throats with all the other stuff that's going on with it. And that includes like a million different plot threads that just do not at the end are effective. They are paced way too quick at the end, and they just are not satisfying. If this movie stuck with a singular idea, just one idea that they had like 5 different plot threads, it would have been way better, but it's keeping up with all of it. For example, like in the beginning of the movie, it felt like there was like 5 different intros, and it was hard to keep up, and it really slowed down the movie for when it felt like the first hour was so unbelievably pointless. And it just did not work. Michael Keaton, I thought, looked and felt the same as he was in Beetlejuice. I would say I think it felt a little lackluster when it comes to like the personality, but it was still there. You can tell it's 30 years later, so I don't really fault him. Winona Ryder, I honestly thought maybe it was just because of the character just does not make sense as an adult in modern times. It felt really bad and awkward, and I thought her acting was honestly kind of bad. Catherine,
it's funny you say that because my friend, when she came over, was talking about it. She was like, so she's a big Beetlejuice fan. She really likes the musical as well. Mm-hmm. A couple of her chief complaints were like, yeah, like way too many like storylines going on, and she's like, they don't all get like answered either. Like they kind of have to like jump between them. She said Winona Ryder was markedly like bad. Like she was like, she said that like her performance was poor enough that she actually started wondering whether or not Winona Ryder was a good actress. So, like, which that was.
I'm gonna give her the benefit of the doubt because I think it was just material.
I went back to. I was like, yo, like, Stranger Things season 1. Say what you will about the series. By all means, it's kind of been used and abused and beaten like for fan service, but like season 1 fucking like it bangs. Like season 1 is fantastic.
The last season I thought bangs too, but
I haven't. It's
good.
I have to rewatch it again, but like I will say that like Winona Ryder is a like
she's a good actress.
Sort of like she's like the reason. She's like a huge reason why season 1 goes so hard. Like she crushes it. And then she also brought up that the storyline that she would have liked for them to like kind of go on is one that happens in the little baby in the musical where Astrid goes into the netherworld or whatever and searches for her dad because I will go ahead and kind of preface at this point, we're talking about Beetlejuice. Jared's about to like spoil the shit out of this. I'm not going to hold him back from spoiling it, but if you don't want it spoiled for you, just like leave now. Cause this is recent. Like this is a recent movie. I have a modicum sympathy for people if you don't want it to be spoiled and it's still out in theaters, but that's your warning. Have fun. But yeah, like Astrid going into the Never or whatever, the Netherworld, to find her dad. She thought would have been like that is the perfect story to go with. Like go with that. And they do like Beetlejuice was married and like all this. The Maitlands are not in there, which makes sense because like how do you age a ghost? They got rid of her like Lydia's
that was the point of the first
actual
movie, though,
dad because he's a PDF file.
They moved on.
So like
yeah. Oh wait, okay. There's so much to talk about with that too. Let me get started. Okay.
I know what they used the shark to like.
Bro, it's so bad. Okay, so here's the mini storylines in the movie. So yeah, the Maitlands are not in it. Obviously there's like an excuse that they sort of passed on. Fine, whatever. And honestly, I think their exclusion from it is fine, but I think their storyline is really the main story. Like the first movie is so low key. It's just about two people that recently died. They become ghosts. They're trying to figure out this world that now they're ghosts. And then the people are moving into their house. They're fucking confused. And then throughout the movie, they're just trying to like scare them out. That's all it is.
Yeah.
And then there's like the weird scene at the end where like Beetlejuice is trying to marry Winona Ryder's character because he wants to like become real again. Yada. That's really that movie. Here are the million storylines in this one that never fulfill the end. So one storyline is Astrid, which is played by Jenna Ortega, hates her mom now because her dad is dead, and she's like this television personality where she sees ghosts. Psychic, right? She's a medium or whatever bullshit. She sees ghosts, but for some reason she can't see her husband, Jenna Ortega's dad. So she's just like mad about that. That's her characterization throughout the entire movie, is that she's mad that because she was really close to her dad, they had a good family life, yada yada yada. She can't see her dad. Her dad like was like out like a big climate change guy and was out doing good work, yada yada yada. So throughout the entire movie, like that's the heart of the film, and like her characterization and then they don't really spend much time with the dad, and then they gloss through it where when they go to the netherworld, they walk past him, and they're like, oh, it's dad, but that's it, and they walk past it and they're done, and then he ends up saving them, and then they have this like quick little discussion about, oh, you need to really move on with your life type shit, and that's it. So the heart of the film is wrapped up.
Did he
so
write
quickly.
it?
I'm
curious who wrote the film. Is this a Tim Burton problem, or is this whoever wrote the like?
Miles Millar and Alfred Goh. He's just a director. Again, I think it's classic like 2000s Tim Burton just not being good at directing anymore, but also, excuse me, it's also just like classic. Probably, I'm guessing this is trying to modernize an 80s icon and trying to make money off of it. That's all this is. Whatever. I didn't like it, but it's just that. I guarantee it's just probably classic like producer involvement that is trying to overstuff these movies because they just want to like sell toys and sell other shit. Because then like some of the classic things that you see from the Netherworld from the
toy now, because like the thing is like all those movie toys, it's like fucking millennials with nothing to do with their like
who
they like.
Think about all the Funko Pops you can make out of the characters in this movie.
Fuck that, dude. Yeah, fuck Funko Pops.
I'm not talking about just kid toys. Like adults love toys.
I was gonna say like because kids. Like at one point in time, kids would have bought these, right? Like back in the day, like
there was a cartoon 80s, too.
I think we're the last. Well, I say the last toy generation, but I mean like the toys that I feel like the toys that get made now are maybe not a lesser quality, but they're like a little more select than what like we had when we were growing up. Like they kind of like inundated like the millennial generation with like a bunch of crazy toys. There's still some cool ones out there. I mean, I remember going around and looking at them with Sebastian, my nephew.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, there's some cool stuff, but like, bro, there's like hardly any Transformers, right? Think about that. Like, what did we have? We had multiple Transformers series, which were literally just to put out like toys and shit. And like there were like quite a few Beetlejuice like toy sets that would come out because there was an animated series about it, right? But like no one's making a fucking Beetlejuice toy now and trying to sell that. Like that shit's not gonna like that's not even a wet noodle. It's just gonna like hit the wall. And, like,
but it's just like it's just Hollywood running out of ideas and just trying to bring back old IPs. It was popular and culty back then. It's the stylistic like comedy horror type thing, whatever. But more plot threads are like, for example, they introduce a new character, Beetlejuice's wife, played by Monica Bellucci, which I guess her and Tim Burton are dating. And they start with introducing her, so they introduce a new character again.
You just got to get on that.
Only like, to just do this cool it was a cool little montage, and she ends up like killing Danny DeVito's character. He's introduced, but like it doesn't really, yeah, I mean it's like a cool little scene, whatever. But throughout the rest of the fucking movie, it's just her walking around trying to find Beetlejuice. And he just doesn't even basically care at the end of the day. And then it wraps up again with this like weird marriage wedding type thing at the end, and then like this overly long and done musical number. Ugh. And it doesn't wrap up nicely.
Beetlejuice probably found more success doing musicals than it has been with this movie. Like.
And then lastly, one of the things I thought was horrific throughout the entire movie is the inclusion of the PDF file. Throughout the entire, like they would not, like I get it. Like if you want to introduce them, part of the movie could just been, okay, he's dead and that's why they're all back together. That's all you have to really do. You can obviously finesse it a little bit better than I'm explaining, but just kill him off. Don't bring him up anymore. But he has more screen time in this movie than I think honestly Beetlejuice does.
Well, which that makes sense for Beetlejuice because Beetlejuice famously was like never in the film.
Yeah,
like he was in like no more than 10 minutes, 30
but just
minutes
like
or
Hannibal
something.
Lecter though. But like when he's on screen, he's electrifying, and you want him in small doses because you're always clamoring for more, and that's great. But again, my problem is not Beetlejuice himself in this movie. It's just like nothing feels satisfying at the end of it because they're trying to shove too much threads throughout the movie, and just none of it feels satisfying. Too many introductions, overbloating the cast with just sort of lame characters that I just do not care about. And then just completely wiping the storyline so quickly at the end. And then just filling it with a dumb musical number at the end that just does not work for me. Again, I'm going to stop rambling because there's just too much, but the inclusion of the PDF file, it was just so overdone. He kept on popping up on screen. Even like his picture would be on screen in some way, whether it's like on the headstone or something like that. It's like, what's the point? Like he wasn't that amazing of a character that I needed. Like, I just felt like if it was just more focused, it would have been better. But that's my argument with a lot of these movies these days. Especially like modernizing like old IPs, is that they're just trying to overstuff you with a bunch of things. I guess one of the original ideas for this movie was like Beetlejuice Goes to Hawaii. It was just going to be this wild off the beaten path type like sequel to the old Beetlejuice. Because like I just don't think this one works, because it loses a lot of the what I thought made the success of Beetlejuice 1 was it was just a low-key story. It wasn't like this over-the-top modernization that we get out of a lot of these movies now, where everything has to be this fast-paced, nothing can breathe. And that's what I thought Beetlejuice 1 gave me, is like moments of just to be able to breathe and like sit in the scene and like see all the absurdity with what's going on screen and all the cool imagery that Tim Burton can come up with. And this just truly failed for me. I ended up giving it a 1.5. I hated it.
Which, yeah, like I was gonna say, I'm seeing like mixed reviews on, which also, especially where I kind of touched on this in my latest like late to the game, because I'm about done with it. But number review, like number scores, especially in light of, not to go talk video games, but like in light of like the Star Wars Outlaws, Space Marine 2 kind of stuff that was hitting, like people condemn like, look, number reviews, like numbered scores or scores in general, I guess, for reviews are kind of ambivalent. They don't matter, right? Like if I look, for instance, like a lot of people gave like, I think IGN flack for like how like high they rated Star Wars Outlaws, and then in comparison to like, you know, Space Marine 2, which like people liked more than Outlaws, but like they gave Outlaws a higher score, and they're like, you guys don't know shit. It's like, one, it's not IGN's review. They are paying the person to review it. Two, the person that reviewed Space Marine 2 and the one who reviewed Outlaws are two different people that have two different tastes.
Don't
right?
they do aggregate scores there too? Like through that everybody that plays it there, it's more of an aggregate score.
I'm not 100%. I mean, well, no, it's a regular, because like it has like the article, right? Like the writer, so like they have like a designated like writer and reviewer most of the time. But like people, I think use Metacritic most of the time or Steam. Steam's really good. So honestly, Steam reviews are probably one of the funniest, but like it's the most accessible review that anyone can kind of like go and give a review of the game. Either way, it's highly subjective, man. Like if someone likes Beetlejuice, we're not trying to like shit on that. Like we love that for you. As crazy as the world is, and all we want is just like a little bit of enjoyment. If that's something that brought you that joy, we love that. These are our opinions though. And it's just like, you might like Sucker Punch by Zack Snyder. And I fucking hated Sucker Punch, dude. And I will say Sucker Punch is bad enough that like I would actually maybe judge you a little bit. But you know what? I'll be judgment free right now. Until I go and watch it again and remind myself how much I fucking hate it. But Beetlejuice is definitely one I'm not going to. I mean, especially with a little girl, like I'm not going out to watch it. I'll probably watch it on streaming or something. Like I also don't like Tim Burton. I'll straight up. I don't like Tim Burton films.
I don't like modern Tim Burton. I think he's trash. I truly think I don't even like prime
Tim Burton. Like I watched I finally watched the Nightmare Before Christmas like a year or two ago. Because I had watched parts, but I never sat down and watched it when I was younger. It just wasn't. And like the only hype I get behind it is that it's all stop motion. Like that is in claymation. Like that's nuts to me. Like that is nuts. But I didn't really care for the movie itself. Like I was like, okay, it's cool. Like I have no nostalgia for this. I have no.
Well, technically, it's not a Tim Burton movie.
Well, yeah, he didn't direct it. Or wait, no, I thought he.
It's Henry Selick, but I mean, he a lot of the ideas are his, but I think a lot of the crew also just had a heavy hand on that movie.
Isn't it not titled Tim Burton's A Nightmare Before Christmas?
Yeah, because I think it's mainly just his idea, but I think the rest of I think there's like a big documentary behind this that Probably. A lot of the big heavy lifting comes from other people. He's kind of like the Steve Jobs of that movie.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
He has the name, he has the connections and stuff like that, but yeah, the crew really killed it. I don't know. I've never been a big Nightmare Before Christmas fan either, but whatever. It's fine. It's
cool. I'll go farther and just say that with Tim Burton, right? Like I was never like the biggest Edward Scissorhands guy. I was never. What else has he done? Like
Big Fish, Sleepy
director,
Hollow, Mars Attacks. He did that.
The original Batman, Corpse Bride,
Pee-wee's.
I kind of did fuck with Sleepy Hollow. Like Sleepy Hollow was fun.
I think Ed Wood is his best film.
I still have yet to watch Ed Wood.
I think it's incredible.
His version of Planet of the Apes is weird.
I remember liking it. I saw it get this on the big screen outside.
Oh, you went to the drive-in?
Yeah. Not here. It was probably somewhere in California with my grandma and my brother. He had just finished the book, going to the movies. I remember this. It's one of the memories I do have from then. And yeah, we watched it at a drive-in. It was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at this, like, I've watched Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Kids. It's just like, I feel like, I don't know, his style is very much just, I'm trying to be
weird.
He likes weird and quirky. I'm not even going to make fun of it because that's how, like.
Well, it made sense back then because it's like, it didn't have that modern look to it where it's like, obviously digital, like, quality looks really good. I think his style just looks good on film. I truly, I think that's his biggest issue. It might sound silly, but like, his stuff I think just really lends well to that, like the 90s 80s, like just film cameras. It's all practical effects, and it looks good because some of it looks a little goofy, but it works. Like he worked with like a lot of miniatures. I mean, like the classic scene from Beetlejuice 1 was that like introduction with the miniature, and you're like, oh wow, and then it boom. And it's
like
cool.
the sandworm.
Yeah, and they incorporate a lot of the miniature stuff too, because that's how I'm pretty sure Beetlejuice. I haven't seen it in a while, so it's hard for me to refer back to Beetlejuice 1, but I'm pretty sure that's where you first get the introduction of Beetlejuice's character is whenever he's in the miniature of the land, and they introduce a lot of that stuff. And stylistically, it looks awesome. All that stuff looks great. And again, like I think Batman, those original ones are pretty But I remember liking them. Like I like Michael Keaton's Batman. I think it's fine, and Jack Nicholson's Joker is fine. It's definitely its own world and its own character. Much different than like modern superhero movies, but I think they kind of worked. I was gonna rewatch them because I'm gonna do
Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Pee-wee's Big Adventure is a lot of fun. I think Tim Burton did well with that, but I kind of want to divert from this because
please do.
I am on a timer right now for a baby girl about to wake up and probably become very inconsolable, but we're going to head out to our last section.
Yeah.
We discussed this before. We're going to go into it now with y'all. So this is where we're going to give ourselves a little bit of homework. This is where, so I'm going to start off. This is where like Jared and I are going to give each other kind of like a little bit, like nothing too grueling or anything, just like, you know, hey, you should go experience something like this, or maybe either go watch a movie, a specific movie, or go watch a movie from this
era, like
from this era.
Maybe it's a silent, maybe it's a talking.
Yeah,
who knows?
I think what I you know, thinking about it more, because I was originally going to tell you like Dawn of the Dead, which you already watched, which I don't think it's worth doing this. Because this is something I've been wanting to watch. let me look it up. So I'll let you start off while I look this up. Well, give me your, and then tell me why you would like to give me this this assignment.
Yeah. So I mean, I watched a movie last night just randomly. I was completely blinded by it. Tony and I were upstairs. I was just trying to figure out what the hell I wanted to watch last night, and she's like, "Oh, let's just do a random thing." So she got on her phone, she got on Letterboxd, and just kind of like just scrolled. And I told her to stop. Bam. Did it again, bam, and it ended up on Mikey and Nicky. I had never heard about this movie. Again, I will say, like, part of doing this podcast also is for us to expand our film knowledge. Like, we're both pretty amateur at this stuff. We both are big movie fans. We obviously love movies. That's like a big part of our friendship, our relationship was like we used to go to the movies and we used to talk about them after we left the theater, and that's pretty much what this podcast is. Us leaving the theaters.
We would, and this actually pissed off Jess, but specifically, I tried to like replace you with her. We would watch a movie, yeah. We would walk out of it. Him and I would not say shit to each other on the walk out
until we got to the car.
Till we got to the car, and then before we got into the car, we would look at each other and we would go and say, "What did you think?" Like, it was literally like, "What did you think of it?" And then we would just like kind of like on a count of three, we would both like, or like kind of just right there, we would say like, "I liked it," because the reason why was like the walk to the car was kind of like trying to like set it in, kind of think about it real quick before we were just like, "Yeah, I liked it," because it was, you know, just kind of think about it, be a little more conscious about it.
So yeah, like I was gonna say, like, yeah. So this is to expand. For me, I want this to expand our film knowledge. I want us to get away from some of these comfort eras, some of these comfort movies. I've been so desperately wanting to watch older movies because I feel like, again, I'm like too sort of secluded and isolated in like 2000s, maybe some 80s. Like, I really love the 80s. And the 90s, obviously. I grew up in the 90s. So this movie, Mikey and Nicky, was a movie from the 76 era, and it was directed by Elaine May, which I guess I've never heard of. Popular female director, I guess, at that time. And this movie had so much going against it. It bombed, I guess. Production went over budget, over time. The way this was produced was just like, I can't believe this movie ever got released. It ended up where the studio just had to say, "Hey, you don't have final cut anymore, Elaine May. It's ours. You're donezo." And so you get this movie. Some of it looks a little amateur. Some of the production looks a little amateur, but the rest of the movie, I think, is incredible.
And this is the
Mikey and Nicky. It's just really like, it's a small cast. And the reason I'm wanting to bring this up is because what I just said earlier was like, these people are doing too much. There's too many things going on. This is such a simple movie, just a couple different like locations, but it's just two actors acting their asses off, going back and forth, just like, talking.
Oh,
and like it starts out vague. It's like, what the hell did this guy do? And you can tell so quickly just the way these guys are talking to each other. These guys have been friends for fucking years. And it's like this guy's trying to console him, like, what's going on? And it's like throughout the movie, it's like just walking through different locations, just going throughout the day, and it ends in a certain way. Like, I'm not gonna, because you're probably gonna maybe watch it one day, hopefully soon. So
I'll watch it this week. Where can I watch it at? So actually, for anyone who wants
I had to rent it on
Amazon.
Oh no, yeah, I think I ended up having rented on Amazon, but it might be on.
I'll rent it on Amazon.
Yeah, so you can stream it on Max, but I think you need like Prime Video or something. So I think that's, maybe I didn't need to rent it. It might be on Prime.
Renting is like $3.99. Yeah,
who cares?
But that's also like, it's.
So I would like you to not. I want you to watch this, but this is not the homework. But I do want you to watch something from this era. So the homework is to watch a '70s movie.
I will watch Mikey and Nicky.
Yeah, it's a little. Yeah.
I will watch it because I saw that on your Letterboxd today, and I thought to myself like, "Oh, that's interesting. I've never heard of this before." So just like, the fact that you bring it up.
And again, like my film knowledge of these guys are pretty low. Like, it's Peter Falk and John Cassavetes. Never really heard of those guys, sadly enough, but like they were acting their asses off throughout the end, and you can tell like they worked on this. Like their relationship throughout the movie, like it felt real and it felt like they were friends and like they've been through some shit together and like, and it was just, I was engrossed into this movie and I was sucked into it from the very beginning. So yeah, movie from the 70s.
Okay. Well, I will definitely watch that this week then. So I kind of have been. This is kind of like homework for both of us on mine because I've been meaning to watch this for a while because I remember playing a game that definitely harkens back to this style of film. It was kind of like I wasn't the biggest fan of the game. I think it definitely looked very cinematic, but it also I felt like it was trying to pay like a love letter to this. More specifically, this director, but I'm going to give you Rashomon.
Rashomon, okay.
Are you familiar with Akira Kurosawa's Rashomon?
Kurosawa is a director I've heard nothing but great things about, and I've just
I've never
touched
it.
a film.
Yeah,
so
like,
I've heard about him, and I've heard about. The movie.
Well, I take it back. I think he did. Did he do Cub and? Maybe he didn't. I think that wasn't because I'm looking at his filmography,
which I guess is just bloated with masterpieces. I
mean, people loved his cinematography and his directing. What?
Yeah, people love his stuff. I don't. Yeah. It's one of those things. Like I've been struggling, like really getting my eye on some old stuff, and so like this movie last night definitely sort of encouraged me to like. Again, go back out and trying to give some of these old movies a taste because they obviously are a reflection of a lot of people's works today. So
yeah, especially because we talk about this a lot because it was such a weird like such a weird interaction. But like when we both had watched last year The Exorcist. Mm-hmm. And like that was like fantastic, and I didn't know it was as fantastic for like why it was.
Yeah,
yeah. So I need to watch Akira Kurosawa stuff. So I think I'm going to give that to both of us because I'll watch. I'll watch
another 70s movie. I've been wanting to watch Taxi.
This is a 1950s.
Yeah, I know.
This is 50s.
Yeah,
but
we're going older.
Yeah, like yeah. Because like after that, like I also have heard, like I said, I don't know. I know of Yojimbo. But that's really like where my knowledge of his stops. But everyone just won't stop raving about Kurosawa. So,
but yeah,
I mean, and he was a painter too. So I think he knows what a scene's supposed to look like.
I think I want to do some of the other Elaine May movies. There's not like a ton. There's The Heartbreak Kid, which I've heard of, but I've never seen. And then what's the other one? Ishtar, I guess, is like a really big one. That one's supposed to be good. And I think she writes all these, but I think also like production-wise, I think a lot of these are improv. So like a lot of the writing is improv, and she'll just let the camera roll. But I don't know. That's it for us, right? We're all good. Like,
yeah, I mean, on that note, yeah, I don't have any final words. I do. So before baby girl starts waking up, first off, thank you for spending whatever amount of time you did today listening to us ramble. Yes, baby.
A little less today. I'm proud of us.
A little less today. We're doing well. Oh,
which is good for the actual official first episode of Some Damn Movies.
Yeah, I guess we'll end it with baby girl going crazy. I want to pick her up because I'm trying not to keep her face on camera. Yo, Late to the Game's coming out. Okay, I got you. You want this food? She's hungry probably by now.
Yeah, everybody go check out Late to the Game. Our boy
so Late
Ian's
to the
been
Game.
working hard.
Yeah, so Late to the Game is going to be coming out. This new episode is going to be awesome. If you're actually at this point, I'll just go ahead and tell you it is Dead Space, and I did a lot with it. I just finished shooting it yesterday, so I'll be working on that. It's going to be going up October 2nd. That's like the first week of the first week of every month is when I want my episode Late to the Game. And the release schedule we're going for with most of this is Late to the Game is going to be probably the first week. Then we're going to shoot for bi-weekly on the podcast. So that would be like the second and the fourth week.
Yep.
And then Jared is working on something. I don't know. It's legend, but he is working on something for the third week. And then of course we'll have some like shorts, and like I'm gonna probably still come up with like a compilation of like a highlight reel of my gameplay, because there's so much, especially with Dead Space. Like there's some highlights, so I might just make some shorts or put something together, but there should be content going up every week.
Yeah.
And hopefully it's something that you like. So like, comment, subscribe. Damn, if you did make it to this point in the video, thank you very much.
Yeah, it's much appreciated. And honestly, don't follow us on Twitter. Don't follow us on Facebook. Yeah, just follow us on Letterboxd.
Twitter, like Letterboxd. Honestly, Facebook. If you want to go to the Facebook, like, page, I'd rather you do that. But like really YouTube, like fuck Twitter.
Yeah.
Threads is okay, whatever. Instagram, I like Instagram too. But like I'm
Letterboxd boy for life now.
Yeah.
It's the only thing I care about.
I'm saying for some damn channel and specifically. But yeah, like Letterboxd I think I use more than both. Well, I don't know. I doom scroll Threads quite a bit.
I do scroll Letterboxd sometimes. I'm like, what do I want to watch? But yeah, I mean, guys, follow us wherever you can. Everything is in the description below. We're going to try and do these bi-weekly as much as we can. Again, sometimes life gets in the way. Ian is a new father, obviously, as you can tell during this podcast. We're going to try and keep these as short as possible when it comes to about an hour and a half, hopefully. I think we did a good job today.
I think we did too.
Yeah.
But anyway, y'all
See
have
you
a
guys.
great rest of your week. Bye.
Bye.